Hello, hello, everyone. Third session of today is the Ubuntu Online Summit. This is the Snap Roadmap and Q&A session. If you're watching this through Summit Ubuntu.com, there's a chat widget right next to the video feed where you can enter your favorite nickname, hit the connect button, and then talk to us. And we want questions. I'm joined here today by two very fine gentlemen, Michael and Zygmunt, and they're both part of the core Snap team. And they've been working days and nights, literally, weekends, holidays. They've been working around the clock, basically, to make all of this great stuff happen, along with a much larger team, but we're lucky to have them here. They're going to just talk a little bit about the roadmap, what's coming up next. We've heard some parts of it earlier in the keynote, but this time we have a bit more time to answer questions. So if you don't quite understand what they're actually doing and how you're going to benefit from it, this is the perfect opportunity to ask all those questions. Right, it looks like, yeah, people report success. So we're actually live, not just talking to ourselves. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Brilliant, brilliant. So you just did a release, right? What happened there?
Oh, we had the big Ubuntu Core release, which means it is available on devices now. So Gustavo, he explained it in his keynote very, very well. It is Snap, all the benefits of Snaps on real devices. And devices includes stuff like a Raspberry Pi or even a BeagleBone Black, all the way up to your regular PC, which of course can also be an old Snap system, and cloud devices as well. We don't have a cloud image just yet, but it's in the works. Like we may even have it now because, you know, I was on vacation, so maybe it already popped up and I just haven't noticed it yet. But it's super close, and I'm very excited about it because I think it's Snaps and the Ubuntu Core system is a great system for the cloud. Zygmunt,
right?
Do you want to expand on this?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to highlight for the devices release is that this means people can actually start building things on top of Snappy. They can just use Snappy as a building block for whatever their problem, their niche solution, the thing they want to solve is. And because of the fact that we worked so hard on making this release so robust and stable, we're going to be able to give them updates throughout the year and beyond. So I've installed, like, ever since returning from holidays, I've installed all of my devices that have a small device fleet just up here in the rack, and all of them are running 24/7. And my goal is to make sure that all of these devices stay up all the time, and they're always running the Redis kernel. They're always up to date and secure. So the promise that you can just install it now and just keep on updating is, I think, a very strong one. And I think if you look at the whole device ecosystem, you get a device from your telco, you get your router at home. That's always out of date, always stale, and almost always insecure. So I'm really looking forward towards changing that with Snappy. And I think this release was really the milestone for doing that.
Right, so you said Ubuntu Core and all Snaps earlier. Maybe to some folks it's not going to be quite clear, like, what does this mean? Like, what's happening there? Is this just Ubuntu but different, or how does it work?
It's a fantastic question. Sorry for doing that. We use those terms implicitly because we're like they're stuck in our minds for now, but it's important to actually use a very precise language for this. So what we did release lately was an image that you put on devices, but this is not the classic Ubuntu image that you could have always installed 16.4 and then installed Snappy, install Snaps on it, and that'll be just fine. But what we release right now is a different version of Ubuntu that's built entirely out of Snaps. So everything, the whole operating system, the kernel, all of your applications are delivered as Snaps. And this is what we refer to as sometimes all Snaps. I think that the term we want to use for that is core. So if you think about the core, Ubuntu Core, it's a system comprised entirely of Snaps.
Right. So it sounds like the name actually makes sense there because
Yeah,
it just is all snaps, right?
it is Ubuntu Core 16, but it is all snaps, and it will soon be multi-core. Like, we have a lot of fun playing with, names and abbreviations. But when we talk to actual, people, like real people, not between us, it is Ubuntu Core 16.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah. So what's up next? Like you've been sprinting recently. Like I'm sure you have lots of crazy ideas and stuff, which is coming up. Or did you want to talk about anything else for now?
Um, so we were sprinting and we were working a lot. So, I mean, afterwards, everybody was kind of exhausted first. So, but we do have a lot of plans. I mean, it's not like, we've been idle. I think everybody was during vacation and so on, thinking about what to do next. One word about devices. I think the Raspberry Pi. I mean, and devices like this, like really cheap, very powerful devices. I mean, they started already, and they are starting a big paradigm shift in computing, because it's now so easy, so cheap to put what you did previously in embedded systems, where it was kind of awkward to you had to write low-level C, and it was just, I mean, everybody who has done embedded programming knows it's not fun, right? I mean, sort of fun for some of us, but and with Core, I mean, and with devices like the Raspberry Pi, this has changed. Like, you have a regular Linux system. It's a bit slow compared to your 24 core desktop machine that you have at home, right? But it's still very usable, and you can pretty much do all your development on a big ass, pardon my language, on a big machine, on a fast machine, and run it or in a virtual machine, and then you push it on your Raspberry Pi and make a device out of it, make an embedded system or make a custom device. And I for one, I welcome Core so much. I mean, I built a custom Raspberry Pi based system for my father-in-law last year, and it was like writing the application was fine, right? This was fun and great, but then I like making a regular classic system, an embedded system, is tricky, right? Because it is not geared towards it. It's not like the robustness we put into Core. It is very different from classic. So I'm super excited about this, and I think we will see a lot of applications coming out of it, like new novel ideas. Yeah. But actually, you asked what's next, so I don't know. Zygmunt, you want to start? I'm sure you have tons
what's
of ideas.
next? Yeah, we have lots of ideas. There are a couple of things coming up that are brewing, and they're gonna show up soon. I'm not sure if we've announced all of them, so I'm kind of confused now. Sorry, after the week of holidays, I was so detached from what I was working before. I don't want to spoil anything. Some more, essentially more snappy features. The one thing I want to highlight, I was just catching up this week. I was looking at pull requests, and we actually crossed the number of pull requests. We had like more than 50 lately, and we're under 50, which is better. We still have lots of things to review. I want to just highlight the number of interfaces that are under review. There's so many people just contributing an interface for their one little thing they care about for that application. And I think that's fantastic. It's just gonna, we started with just like, we started with like a long way back. We started, what kind of interfaces are we gonna start with? We're gonna have this sensible list of a few interfaces that are gonna start with. And now we have so many interfaces, if you ask me to list them all, I wouldn't be able to do that because just so many. And I just see more and more people doing that, and I love it. So one thing I want to actually tell you about is that we're going to make writing interfaces even easier. We had some fantastic ideas at the sprint, essentially even less code, even more reliable code, even easier to understand code, instead of like shoving just a bunch of bytes around in a large string, where it's super easy to make a typo that is going to explode for you at runtime. We're going to make that much more robust and easy for developers, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's not happened yet, and none of the users are going to care. This is just the developers working on these interfaces going to have an easier job. So that's one thing I'm definitely looking forward to. And actually, yeah.
Interfaces are like what do interfaces do?
Interfaces, I love this phrase. Interfaces are the thing that shapes the sandbox in which you execute. So Snappy puts this bubble around each application, so that application is both isolated from what other applications are doing, so they can't do any nasty things, and your application runs in a robust environment. But inversely, it means that the application cannot interfere with other applications. And sometimes when applications like to talk to each other, like applications from across snaps, will like to talk to each other, like to access the hardware, we use interfaces to shape that bubble. So the bubble contains additional hardware, contains additional IPC mechanisms for applications to talk to. So it's just a language, like a declarative language. I'd like to talk to Docker. I'd like to use LXD. I like to work with a Raspberry Pi serial port, or in general, any serial port. And it's just the language of describing that. And that translates to actual low-level security declarations that allow this to happen in practice.
Cool. Thank you.
So one of the things that are coming and almost here already that I'm excited about is Delta support. I mean, this is a super easy thing, but it's so nice. Our friends from the online services team demoed this recently, and the savings are fantastic. I mean, this is like, snaps are not small, right? It's the nature of the thing. Bundle software, which is you can do content sharing. You don't have to bundle all of your stuff in a single snap, but it's a valid model, and lots of people are doing it. So they tend to be not small, but each update, there's a lot of room that you can there's a lot of stuff that is redundant that you don't have to download again. And there is an XDelta-based Delta download branch that, I don't know, instead of 50 megabytes, it's like 5 or even less. And obviously it depends on the workload and so on, but it's really nice. And this should land really soon. And there is more coming. I mean, there's better compression algorithms, and this is just the start.
We have some questions on IRC already, so maybe we should look at some of them.
Sure. So the first one, like if you don't have any, or do you want to talk about more roadmap later on, or just do some questions first?
Yeah, I think we need to do some questions because there are so many already. Actually, like Sergio is mentioning health checks. This was my next item on my mental list, like because I think this is also a nice feature. But let's go in order. I mean.
Okay, sure. Chloe Wolfie Girl asked, "What are the plans with Snap and the phone?"
I know many people are working on shipping the whole phone stack, essentially shipping all of Ubuntu's improvements to scale down to a phone as a Snap. And I know there are some sessions for that, I believe, this week, right now. I don't know. I think there are. And I definitely see a lot of activity in this area. I see pull requests for Snappy for supporting those features. And what I don't see probably is even bigger, all the changes to that software to make it, to fit it into a Snap. So I don't know, Michael, what do you know about this?
Yeah, we are not the perfect people to answer this question because while we work closely with the phone team, we don't look at their roadmap and we're not sure what the exact status is. But yes, there's definitely work going on, and I think it's mostly reworking this system into snaps. I mean, I think the foundation we built is pretty solid, especially now that we have content sharing. This was a big blocker on the phone, yeah, I'm not sure what the exact timelines are and the status is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening sooner than later.
Okay, yeah, I think there's a Convergence Q&A coming up after the break later on. So watch out for that one. I'm sure they will have more details. Chris Baum asked, how does Ubuntu Core handle graphical apps? Does it bring an X server into the Snap, or can it handle Mir?
Yeah, interesting question. The thing is, we can handle both Mir and X11, and I really hope we can handle Wayland and whatever other distributions wish to use to a uniform interface. So Snap doesn't care about any of these. We don't ship them. If you would like them, maybe there's a Snap shipping one of these. Maybe you can embed that into your application, into your Snap, and just ship it yourself, depending on what the use case is. Both may be the perfect answer, right? The only thing that Snappy actually needs to model and does model is the security, the extra stuff that extends from your sandbox, from your bubble, so that you can talk to the X server, so that the X server can talk to the hardware, so that all these things can work. But Snappy's orthogonal, doesn't impose or require either.
Cool. Laria Mikkel asked, is there any plan for real-time features in Ubuntu Core?
Ah, interesting.
Huh. So you can always build your own kernel Snap, and then you can have a real-time kernel, and you can build your platform using this kernel. I'm not aware of plans to make it part of the official kernel, like hard real-time. I mean, I think this is what you're asking for.
Okay, that should be easy enough. Like, we already have people building custom kernel snaps.
But yeah, I think one thing that's worth mentioning here is that since Snapcraft can actually build your kernel, so you just take the Ubuntu tree. There's a Snapcraft file in it, I believe. Just tweak the configs to enable the real-time, because I think we shipped like all the real-time patches, just don't enable them, and we have those real-time kernel packages in the classic Ubuntu. So I believe it should be quite easy actually using Snapcraft to just build your own kernel and try to put that on your device and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a good point. It may actually be easier than I expected it to be. But yeah.
Nice one.
Even easier.
Even easier, exactly.
So if you do that and it breaks, or if you have something to show, let us know on the Snapcraft mailing list, because that's basically where everyone is looking at.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you do have results, please share, because I think a lot of people are interested in this, and if someone can showcase it, that would be brilliant.
Exactly. Chloe Wolfinger asked, I know Ubuntu Personal is something snappy. Is that full snap? Can it be installed on any hardware like normal Ubuntu? And will we be able to install non-snap on Personal? There was a lot of questions in one question.
I can answer the trailing part of it, perhaps. So sure. Because we have the classic snap, which is something that I think was mentioned in the keynote. You can snap install classic on your core device, which is a device comprised entirely of snaps, and get into a place where you can apt-get install anything you like. So you can always do that. Keep this in mind. No matter where you are, you can always apt-get install something in a classic snap. So as for the rest of it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this is similar to the phone. This is work very much in progress. I think, again, all the foundations are available. The building blocks are mostly there. It's a matter of adding interfaces. It's a matter of ensuring that the right bits are in the right snap. And yes, I think the ultimate goal is that you can build that you can run your laptop using a core image. Like, why not? I mean, this is funny. I mean, when we talk about, or sometimes people talk about embedded systems, and I mean all the requirements for reliability and so on. Like, you upgrade your kernel, it fails to boot, it reverts automatically back to your good kernel. Same for the OS. You can always revert between applications and so on. And this is all great, but actually this is great for my laptop as well, right? I mean, like, so why not have it?
Yeah, that's really, really true. Like, there's some people are just put off by the fact that it's just not something they're familiar with, and I think the familiarity aspect is really true, because they've been using all these distributions for so many years, and now there's this weird new thing, and they feel like I don't understand what's going on. I'm not going to use it. So for that, my answer is just retry it and install Classic. Feel right at home with Classic and explore the new stuff along the way. I mean, it's really it's a powerful concept.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just for those of you who are new, Ubuntu Personal is basically the code name for bringing all the good new stuff together in one place. So it is definitely something snappy. Chris Baum asked, if an update breaks something, are there plans to build in error detection and revert the update automatically?
Michael did
Yay.
talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yes, yes. This is a feature we planned for, like, basically from day one. I mean, because, like, how could Snappy itself, like Snapd, possibly know if an application is broken or not, right? I mean, like, it has no knowledge about this. And even if we could try to be really clever, we couldn't foresee the use cases. So the goal is to have basically a hook, a thing that you can write yourself, a health check, and this can then monitor or check if your application is behaving the way you expect it to be. And this can be as simple as, you install your web server, and there's a small thing that just checks if connectivity port 80 works, and if you get the expected, whatever your front page is supposed to be. So you get a 200 OK, you get some content that you expect, and if that works, it's your application is fine. If not, it will automatically revert to the previous good version, or or fail to install if it was a fresh install. I mean, that's the plan, and a lot of the foundation work for this has been done. So we hope to get this done soon. And I think this is a super nice feature. And again, it will change how we. Maybe that's too big of a word, but I mean, it will change how we look at software, right? I mean, like, you have software with built-in tests that are run at install time. This is pretty spectacular, in my opinion.
It is. It is. Okay, this is a bit of a random question. Coda Europe says, does it take a village to build a snappy app for Ubuntu Cloud?
So one thing that you should know is that if you build a snap, it's going to run on the cloud, on your desktop, and on an embedded device, as long as the architecture matches. So it shouldn't take a village. If you can build the Hello World snap or whatever snap you wish for, and it builds, it's the same snap for the cloud as already. If you actually mean, I'm not quite sure what does it mean to take a village. I assume it's like a lot of effort. A snap for Ubuntu clouds, well, there are two ways that I could answer. Perhaps if you would like to run a snap on the cloud, yeah, sure. Just like there are many cloud-specific snaps already in the store, I believe, and lots of people are working on them. And you can just snap install those. They're already available. Snap ships pre-installed on 1604. So you can just try that. As far as having that in a like getting a cloud image, so that's stuff that the cloud provider actually boots for you. I believe there are lots of people working on that, and you will see support for Ubuntu on the leading clouds through a core image that's tailored to that clouds. I believe you can actually run the current image we have. I haven't tried that myself, but I believe it should just work.
And Snapd should be available on all those, like as a regular package. It should be available everywhere anyway. So
right. In Classic, it obviously is, and in Core, it obviously is.
Right, right. But I think even on 1604 general images, I think it's installed there as well.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
no?
does it take a village means. I mean, but I think, like I said before, the cloud use case, I think is a super strong one. Gustavo was also mentioning in his keynote that he was replacing some of his services with snaps, and I think this is a very nice use case. Like you push your, I don't know, if you need to deploy a web service, bundle it in a snap, push it, run it. If it fails, revert it. I mean, this is, I think, super nice. And a use case we really should talk about more, because I think the server-side applications fit quite well in the snap paradigm.
Cool. Right. There was another question about Ubuntu Personal, which I'm going to skip. Asked that in the Convergence Q&A later on. Chris Baum asked, has Snappy interfaces for Serial, SPI, and I2C?
So yes, for Serial and I2C, no for SPI. I don't believe we do, unless there's pull requests I didn't see, perhaps. I don't. I have to check. Don't quote me on that. For all of those have to be declared by the gadget snap. So your gadget for your device would have to list those explicitly so that you can use them. But yes.
Okay, so it will depend on which device you're running this on.
Yeah, because essentially the device, do I have SPI support? Well, do I? Well, Snapd doesn't know unless the gadget says, hey, it's right here. This is the one that you should look at. One thing we didn't want to do initially was to just like, hey, let's enumerate everything and hope for the best. That's got to be true, because that doesn't usually work. And we have all these weird issues on classic systems where something seems to be there but doesn't really get. I know doesn't. You don't have a VG port in your computer. It's not solar, but it's listed because that's the GPU. But we didn't want to do that. So the classic, on core images, the gadget snap should declare what devices are like this are actually available so that you can rely on them.
So the gadget snap is basically explaining how the device works, what's available, something like this.
Yes, in a declarative way, yes, in many ways. I believe that, so I saw some people asking for, I believe, I2C support for Raspberry Pi on, so that the gadget snap would declare it, because some people built some apps and wanted to use them. So I would recommend just monitoring the gadget snap, especially the source code for it, and just looking at how those declarations look like, and working with people maintaining that to make sure that everything is declared as it should be.
Excellent. All right. Chris Baum asked, could you snap an app that uses bash scripts?
Absolutely. Many of them do.
Okay. Mike Hall is asking, can you give an ETA for snap support on 1404, Debian, Fedora, and CentOS?
Oh my God, lots of questions.
Yes.
So 1404 is, I actually been working on 1404 support today. There are still a couple of things that are essentially running the test suite to see what is broken. It's very, very close. I can tell you that right now I had like 4 or 5 tests failing, and all of those, I believe, are related to one feature that is different between 1404 and 1604. So in 1404, we didn't have systemd, and systemd actually, because it changed a lot of things, not how the system boots, it meant that the root file system was shared recursively. It's a weird feature, the shared subtrees in the kernel, go read it if you're interested. But that's actually something that software starts to rely on. So you didn't want to just introduce that in 1404 with Snapd, because that may actually, and it did actually break some software that wasn't ready in 1404. So we actually only did a very, very fine shared subtree thing for that /snap for the snap directory. And I was just poking around this code, and I hope that this will mean this is getting all green and can be SRU'd really quickly. I believe there's a lot of background SRU work that has happened and it's happening right now not for packages other than Snapd, for like low-level utilities, for support packages for UpArm. All of that is done, I believe, now. The one I know that's just pending SRU is util-linux, and Snapd is the last one standing, I believe. And I think 1404 is super close. Debian, I believe it's actually up to date. We've been working on Debian at the past couple of sprints, and we're actually going to monitor our release process a little bit better so that we're more aware of which distribution is falls behind and needs to be updated. So I believe Debian is in the exact same state as Ubuntu. Fedora is very interesting, and this is if you're watching this, if you're a Fedora developer, if you're used to SE Linux, if you or just want to help, because this is something that the more eyes, the better. So Fedora has accepted Snapd as a package into their main repositories. We have 2 packages that are super relevant, Snapd and SnapConfine. There are 2 maintainers of these packages. Please try them out. They're in the if you know how this works, just look at the master or relevant repository for your distribution for the Fedora release you're running on. If you disable SE Linux in forcing mode, it works right now. There are a couple of issues that we didn't anticipate early on, and this is not like SE Linux support for Snapd. This is just the fact that in Fedora they've enforced confinement on everything that systemd starts. So in Ubuntu, snap confine is heavily confined, and snap confine applies confinement to your actual applications. But snapd itself is not. So we don't have a AppArmor profile for snapd. In Fedora, snapd itself is confined with SE Linux, and we've gone through a lot of effort to make sure that it actually works. But there's still a couple of edge cases that we still need to wrap our hands around. So if you try it with enforcing mode, you will still see some failures. And as soon as we get them all cracked and all solved, and we have that, there's nothing blocking us apart from just people contributing code and ideas, we can just release it. I was actually talking to Neil, who's helping me a lot on Fedora for this. If we could release a package into the archive that says, this package actually doesn't work without with enforcing SE Linux, but Neil said that's not typically the case. But you can try it right now. It's in the Git repository for Fedora packages. There's no, I think because there's a package now, we can actually file bugs on it. So in the past, there was like a separate place where we could work code-wise. There was a Git repository and there were issue trackers. But now I think all that should move directly to the downstream Fedora packaging and bug infrastructure. So big shout for help if you're a SE Linux developer. Have a look at this. It will definitely help a lot of people. CentOS is actually similar, but in a different state. I believe CentOS does not enforce confinement on out of the box, I believe, but CentOS has a different Golang stack. The way you build your stuff is different. You have to bundle stuff. I believe that right now someone could start looking at taking our snapd package, turning on the bundling flag, building it, and seeing what works on CentOS. Let me try to do this next week. Because all of the packaging work with Fedora is done. It's just the confinement aspects. So that's the state of this. As for ETA, I think 14.04, Debian is done. 14.04 is super close. And Fedora, well, as soon as we figure out all those issues with confinement. And CentOS, well, I'm not gonna guess.
Nice work. Nice work. Sigmund has been working a lot on helping people to get this right in all the different distros. So big thumbs up.
Double thumbs up for everyone helping. It's not me, it's everyone else.
Of course, but
it's you as well.
Here,
but
had to do it. All right. Coder Europe asked, is Tor browser and IceCat browser as a snappy app in the Ubuntu store? You can just use snap find. It's going to tell you.
If it's on the stable channel.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Coder Europe asked, are there less than 600 snaps in the store? I just checked, it's more. And right, and that also doesn't count the private snaps, I think.
Yeah,
so
probably not the ones in dev mode, for example, which are not visible easily via the API. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think one thing I'd like to say here is that if you're interested in this particular thing you like to see snapped, just reach out to that community. Perhaps they're actually already working on snapping it, and that snap is available in dev mode. And the only thing is, because you can't find snaps in dev mode, we don't want people installing unfinished software unwillingly or unaware of the fact. Just reach out to them. Maybe there's a snap already in the store that they're working on, and then you can snap install it, just like patching the --edge or -beta, and you will get it, right? You can't find it, but it's there if you know what the name is. And if they don't have a snap, at least they will, hey, what's this snap thing you're talking about? And maybe they're going to be interested, and maybe you can help them out. So do try this. Reach out to your communities and make sure it's snapped.
Speaking of stuff we want snapped, here's a quick roundtable question. What would you like to see snapped? What's high on your list?
So I would love to see K3B from the KDE project. I think this is either done or almost done, and I'm super excited. And Darktable is another one. Media Goblin, like the photo and video sharing
DLNA
service. Well, this is basically, I mean, Google Photos as a Django application that you can install on your own network. And I mean, this is why I think that the server use case is interesting, because a lot of these applications, I mean, they are just, you know, they update quickly. You want the latest all the time, and usually, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
So my list is completely different. I was thinking about a couple of things. Personally, I would like to see a reliable, something like I have a bunch of very simple OpenWRT boxes around. Well, actually, it's just downstairs. So I'm not going to reach for it. But they have like 4 megs of flash. So there's like they're tiny and super annoying. And sometimes they hang and break. I would love to have a reliable, just give my local network management stuff at home. And I have a couple of devices up here in my farm. I would love to install them like in an HE high availability arrangement. So maybe I can unplug one device and then we're still up and running. I have DNS, I have DHCP working. I would love something simple and a well snap. So you can snap set the P area with just like do HA on that. You can snap set a couple of basic stuff. We'll have a nice web UI. I would love this kind of snap. The other class of things I would love to see snapped, and I'm going to definitely work on some of those, so I'm going to mention this, haha. Anyway, is our command line tools, specifically things that integrate deeply into your system. So think about running a shell as a snap, or think about running some random command line tool that just like snapping it in the current world would mean it would be very, very confined and constrained. It would have to run in dev mode, and even then it would be a little bit awkward to use. I'd like to snap things like shell check. If you ever actually emerge shell check on Gentoo, oh my God, that's gonna take a while. It will emerge the whole, camel stuff. Sorry, not camel. I think it's the other language that is weird and awkward and slow to build.
Sure. I'm not
Haskell,
sure.
sorry.
I'm sure there are some people crying out loud now. No.
So emerging Haskell takes forever. And then you have shell check, which is amazingly fun and a fantastic tool. If you ever write shell scripts and don't use shell check, you're just like, you're crazy. Do use it. But having it as a snap is fantastic. It's just like one binary. Just point it at something. It gives fantastic feedback. It's natural for a snap. So I'm definitely going to snap that. And with my personal toolbox, I would also like to snap MC, the Midnight Commander, because it's not like something that has to be snapped. By snapping MC, making it feel right at home as a snap, would allow people to snap almost every command line. So I'm going to work on making that possible. So this is my list.
Yeah, I personally would say snap all the things, obviously.
Yeah, what's on your list, Daniel?
The
latest GCC, right?
Probably not so much, but if people want to snap it, I think they should be able to do it. And
absolutely.
What I really like is projects which go and hook up the Snapcraft release command with their CI. So I think that's really brilliant. Like as soon as if you have a new revision coming in, you build the snap, or you do your tests as part of your standard CI process, and then push the snap to the store using the Edge channel. So all your testers basically get the newest thing. And if you do like tagged releases, push it to the Snable channel. I think that's one of the really, really nice things. And what I love about it is that you don't need to wait for package maintainer to do this. Like if they're on holidays, or they're we're in a release freeze or something, you just push it, just one command, and that's really the power I would like to give to everyone. That's why I didn't want to single out just a few projects. Yes.
Yeah.
What an answer.
No, I think this is absolutely spot on. I mean, I think channels and the power of channels, like the Edge channel, is a super strong. I mean, this is the way for upstreams to make it even easier to engage with their communities. I mean, I was talking at a previous sprint to someone, and he mentioned we don't publish binaries for Linux. We do publish binaries for Windows, and all our developers are using Linux, but we don't publish binaries for Linux because it's so hard. And yeah, hopefully we can solve this problem. And hopefully, if you hook up your CI and push to Edge, you get so many so many testers as an upstream. And if your CI tests are good, like you get so many people who can get the latest and greatest instantly all the time. Yeah, I really want to see more of this as well.
Brilliant. Okay, the next question comes out of the land of wild speculation. It is, when you think that most Ubuntu users will be using a snap-based version of Ubuntu instead of a deb-based version? Any guesses?
Well, if people end up having a router at home that actually is running snaps, then I would say most people are going to run that, even if they're not Ubuntu users. I don't know. I think it's a really tricky thing to answer because of class. I mean, they're so intertwined. You can use snaps on Classic and Classic on Core, and that's really good because both have fantastic values. I mean, all this elaborate, complicated packaging system that we've got from Debian has its use cases, and people are going to still use it, and you can still keep using it. I think we're just going to see a blurry, the line is not going to be hard, it's going to be blurry. And depending on what devices, it may be more tweaked toward Warn on the other end, but I think that's for here to stay.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that's going to stay forever, and apt is going to stay forever, basically. That's good. But we are catering a new use case using snaps, and there will be a lot of uptake. And maybe you will be using snaps and you don't even realize it, like in your router, in your in your NAS system, whatever.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right. The next one is easy. What about the size issue for snaps? Some snaps can be many gigabytes, it seems, and any way to make things smaller? I think there's at least 2 ways, right?
Yeah, we have. So a couple of things up front. So many people just create a snap with a super naive way, like let's shove the entire world of packages into the snap. So take all the pre-built packages, including debug symbols and whatnot. Those gigabytes really quickly add up with that. And then I've made a snap, and then really happy. But to actually explore what they just did, they need to realize that most of that stuff is not necessary. So they can trim it down tremendously. Obviously, you're going to have applications in big runtimes. Like, I don't know, my application depends on the GNOME stack or the KDE stack. Or maybe I have an application that depends on some elaborate web stack. Maybe not as big, but equally interested to be separate. And for that, the content interface allows you actually to separate that out. So multiple applications and multiple snaps can share one set of binaries, runtimes, libraries, whatever they need. And that's obviously, if you say, my application as a deb is so small, but if you actually look at the recursive dependencies of that, that's quite big, and that's not going to be any smaller. Snapping all of that is just the same. But with runtimes, we can actually separate that out. The other thing, and I think that many people are not realizing yet, is that, hey, you can actually build software from source. It's the forgotten art of building software, right? What this allows you to do is to build the software you care about with specific options, with that specific features, and maybe actually you're going to get something that's smaller, right? You don't have to build in a feature you don't even expose. You can just omit that entirely, and that's going to count as savings. Obviously, it's a process people will need to learn and understand how this works. The tooling has to go to the point where this is going to be easy to both discover what the savings might be and actually apply them. But I don't believe that the issue of snaps being big is an inherent issue. If you look at, obviously right now we're just starting this process and people are not aware of how this works, and that's what you observe. But as more and more people will have an easy way to use a runtime, those snaps will not be any bigger, and they will still have all the benefits we already talked about.
Yeah, and we talked about the, sorry, what's it called again? What was the online services team? What was the term?
Deltas.
Deltas, yeah.
Deltas, yes. So deltas and content snaps, I think they're also going to contribute a lot to this. That also answers the next question, which was about the tablet and size, not having enough space or a lot of space on the tablet. That answered that one as well.
Yeah, once we have a runtime snap for the tablet, I mean, the sizes will be similar to what we have now with Clix, because Clix bundle stuff as well, and they depend on frameworks, and we have runtimes now. I mean, it's not going to be a different ballpark number. I mean,
yeah.
it is just it's a process.
Yeah, and I think there were already some experiments. Somebody did a KDE-related content snap, and the resulting, application snap was just 400K or I don't know 100K or something. So we're going to see that.
Interesting. There are two things that are worth mentioning here, I think. First of all, when you have your system that has a package that has dependencies and you install a new version, what happens is that download the new version and then you unpack it all over your file system, and that takes the space twice, typically. Maybe the package is compressed a little bit, so not quite, but you will actually have to put it all across your file system. The snap is both compressed and you just mount it. So I think you will actually see savings in many cases, just because the fact you don't have to spread it around, losing the compression. Snaps stay compressed. I think that's really important. And also for upgrades, you don't have to have double the space. You have I have 4 gigs of empty space on my tablet, and it's 2 gigs. Big game won't update because it can run out of space, because the download takes the space, there's some temporary files, and it tries to unpack everything and just dies midway. For snaps, we just download or download a delta, reconstruct the original, and there's mounted, and that's really, really faster and smaller in space.
Beautiful. All this hard work is finally paying off, right? Okay. So Seb asked, or was it Seb? Somebody asked when the Firefox snap is going to be announced. I think we're going to leave that to the Firefox project to announce. It's something we're seeing more and more, that projects do their own snaps and then say, hey, people, just do snap install, and that's it. So I think we're going to leave the honors to them. Seb asks, Debian and Fedora will also support snaps. It seems okay, but why should all those other distros care? Also, isn't GNOME doing a similar thing? How do you feel? Like you're in the middle of all of this. You're doing a snapd. Why should people care?
Well, let's just care about what people care about. And if people care about snaps, because that's the way to get the latest and greatest software, and that seems like a very good reason to actually care about snaps. I also think that's important to be diverse. It's really, really important. The things we've learned by working with other distributions are invaluable, and they have enhanced the experience across the stack, including in Ubuntu. So things like confinement for snapd. Fedora, showed us the way, and we're actually going to thinking about how to confine snapd in Ubuntu itself, because that seems like a very good thing to do. The various requirements for the policies and processes all the distributions have. If you actually think about distributions and just disregard the fact that some of them use a different package format, the key difference about all of them is process. And working with other people, seeing their perspective on your process and exploring their process is actually very, very valuable. I think we've learned a lot from that. And I think snaps as a process, because snaps themselves are a process, right? If you have a snap that has a process of how you release software, that is also valuable to people and valuable to people, because people pick a distribution they care about for some set of reasons. But right now, that often means they're going to be cut off from some class of software because that software is not available or is out of date in that said distribution. So now they can have more choice. While sticking to the core principles, they can stay pragmatic and use snaps where they care about, without losing perhaps many of the values, because many of those choices end up being just a derivative of the reality of how software is distributed today. All those freezes, all of those reviews, all of those manual package uploads. All of that stuff is because of a particular way we've been doing software development, and there was no confinement before. And many of those things have changed. And this is like let's figure out how distributions work again with all the new modern technology. And as long as people are using those distributions, I think it's really important to support them. And that's why we're doing this.
Makes sense. All right, we have 5 minutes left, and I think 5, 6, 7 questions or something. So maybe we'll try to answer them quickly, and you still have your last 30 seconds to talk about whatever else you wanted to talk about. Okay, are there plans to ship some apps in Ubuntu 17.04 as snaps by default, like Firefox, LibreOffice, or the kernel? What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe a question for the Convergence Q&A. Next question: Can you
maybe specify
a free document license in the snap configs? I think if it's about licenses, you just specify the license on upload to the store.
I
Maybe,
believe so.
yeah, maybe clarify the question if we didn't quite get it. Does Snapcraft have a tweet address? Yes, it does. It's at snapcraft.io. Same goes for Facebook and Google+. Then a question about monetizing. How does it work in private, non-canonical stores?
I don't know.
So for those of you who don't, like, you can have paid for apps and free apps. That's also something you can just very easily configure in the store. But there's also non-canonical stores for specific devices, for example, where the manufacturer might want to run their own store or have a store where they ship additional packages. And then there's the option to do private or public snaps. I'm not quite, like, if it's a non-canonical store, you probably need to talk to whoever is running it to see which
seems
monetization options they have. Okay. Can we expect to see Bitcoin, BTC, used in money participation of paying for Ubuntu snaps from the canonical store, if not elsewhere? Interesting question.
Yeah, interesting.
This one for the online services team. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'd love to see it, but support for it, but I can't answer if that's even planned.
Yeah, same here. Sorry. Martin asked, if someone is planning to write an interface, should they wait for the refactoring you mentioned?
No, absolutely not. Just get started right away, because what you have right now is there's a blog post describing lots of people are experienced and familiar with the concepts of how this works. Just get started right away, submit it, and the refactoring, just like, it's like the kernel. You don't want to stay out of tree. Just like submit it. We're gonna refactor your interface when that time is there. And obviously, we're gonna document all of the process. We're gonna document how it's gonna be. Because I know how it's supposed to look like, it's so much more obvious that this is the right way of doing it. When you're gonna see the difference, it's gonna say, "Ha! Why didn't they do it the first way?" So just don't wait for it. Just get started with it right away.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, the system we have right now, the code we have right now, is not really hard either. I mean, like it's really straightforward. Right. And if you follow, I mean, I think Sigmund wrote a really nice document describing what to do. I mean, it's not hard at all. Just, I mean, you don't really need to. Just go ahead, do it. It's not. It's
usually a good answer. Just do it. The last question: the Raspberry Pi Foundation's desktop LXD environment could be put into a snap. What limits are there in terms of repository locations would there be for developers?
If that means source code repository locations, there are no limits of any kind. Just like use as many repositories as you like. If that's something else, maybe I misunderstood the question. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure either, but I mean, like, I think it's totally possible to put it in a snap, and if you can integrate it with the upstream CI system and even push it on each successful test run automatically to Edge, I mean, that would be ideal. Then all the people who have a Raspberry Pi can just use it and use the latest and greatest if they want, if they subscribe to the Edge channel or, beta candidate stable. I think the channel system, again, is a really, really nice concept of snaps that you just don't have on the regular distro. I mean, you cannot say, I want my, Darktable, I want always the latest because that's what I'm really, keen to learn about. But, everything else should be stable, right? You can't. But the snaps you can.
Yeah, that's right.
Just small addition to that, if I can quickly, 30 seconds. So there's a mention that Raspbian kernel doesn't have a Parmer support, so snaps are not possible. So one thing that Snapd does is actually introspects the system it runs on and figures out, because the same binary, you could copy a binary from Ubuntu and put it in Fedora and figure out, I'm Fedora, I need the Fedora way of doing things. So you should definitely be able to actually have Snappy running on a Raspberry Pi kernel without a Parmer. So that should be totally fine. If it doesn't work, or report a bug, we can definitely make it work.
Excellent. All right, that's all the questions, and we're out of time. Do you have any last-minute announcements or things you want people to know, or
Michael?
Yeah, thanks for having us. I mean, it was great as always. It's just great to hang out with you, and
Yes.
and I mean this. Yeah, I don't know. It's fantastic to engage with the community in this way.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay. I don't know. Make snaps.
Yeah. Same here. What Sigmund said. Thanks everyone for your questions. I had a great time. Now is, I think, a break, but we're going to be back with the next sessions in an hour. So see you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you.